Karen thought she had cornered him. She accused a black man of trespassing on his own property and even called the police.
Please remain calm.
But what she didn't know, he wasn't just a homeowner, he was FBI, and when he showed his badge, her world collapsed. For Marcus Williams, it was supposed to be a quiet evening. After working long hours at his job in federal law enforcement, he finally had a few days off to enjoy his newly purchased home. He had saved for years, dreamed for years, and now, finally, the property was his. A small piece of peace, away from the chaos of his daily work with the FBI. But not everyone saw Marcus as a neighbor. To Karen Miller, the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA, Marcus wasn't a homeowner, he was an outsider. And on that fateful evening, she decided to remind him just how unwelcome she could make him feel. Marcus was out front, watering the garden he had just planted, when he heard the sharp click of high heels against the pavement. Karen marched toward him, clipboard in one hand, phone in the other, her face tight with disdain. "Excuse me," she barked. "What do you think you're doing here?" Marcus blinked, confused. "I live here. I'm just tending to my yard." Karen's lip curled into a smirk. "Oh, no, I know who lives here, and it's not you. You're trespassing, and that's a violation of HOA rules." Neighbors peeked out from their porches. Some shook their heads, but no one dared to intervene. They had all seen Karen's theatrics before. But this was worse. Marcus tried to keep calm. "Ma'am, I signed the papers myself. This is my property. I don't need permission from the HOA to water my plants." But Karen wasn't listening. Her face twisted with indignation. She raised her phone. "That's it. I'm calling the police. Let's see how you explain yourself when they get here." Marcus sighed deeply, but he didn't argue. He had faced threats far scarier than an angry HOA president, and he knew patience would reveal the truth. Soon the familiar red and blue lights flashed against the houses. 2 officers stepped out of their cruiser, hands resting on their belts. Karen practically ran to them, pointing wildly at Marcus. "There he is! That man is trespassing! He doesn't belong here!" The officers exchanged looks, then approached Marcus cautiously. "Sir, we've had a report of trespassing. Can we see some ID?" Marcus nodded calmly, reaching into his jacket. But instead of a driver's license, he pulled out a black leather wallet. He flipped it open, revealing the unmistakable gold badge of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. "Special Agent Marcus Williams, FBI," he said firmly. "And for the record, this is my property." Karen froze, her mouth fell open. The neighbors gasped. The officers stiffened, suddenly realizing who they were dealing with. One of them quickly apologized. "Agent Williams, we had no idea." Marcus's voice remained steady. "No, you didn't, but she did." He pointed toward Karen, who was now stammering incoherently. "This isn't the first time she's harassed me, and now she's wasted police resources with a false report." Karen's face turned red. I didn't know. I was just trying to keep the neighborhood safe," she sputtered. "You looked suspicious." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Suspicious? For watering my own plants?" His voice cut like steel. "What you did was profiling. What you did was harassment. And what you did was illegal." The crowd of neighbors whispered louder now, some shaking their heads in disgust. Karen, once feared, now looked small and ridiculous. The officers stepped in. "Ma'am, filing false police reports is a misdemeanor. You're lucky Agent Williams isn't pressing charges tonight." Karen's eyes widened in panic. "You can't be serious. I'm the HOA president." Marcus finally let a small smile cross his face. "And I'm FBI. Guess which one carries more weight?" The officers told Karen to step aside, warning her that further harassment would result in charges. She shrank back, humiliated, as Marcus stood tall, surrounded by neighbors who now looked at him with admiration instead of suspicion. Word spread quickly through the community. By the next morning, everyone knew the story. The HOA president who tried to call the cops on the FBI. Karen's reputation crumbled overnight. Board members began questioning her leadership. Some even called for her resignation. As for Marcus, he gained something more valuable than vindication: respect. Neighbors began introducing themselves, offering apologies for not speaking up sooner. They realized the HOA's rules had been a weapon used to divide them, and they weren't willing to let that continue. At the next HOA meeting, attendance was higher than ever. Karen tried to defend herself, but the room was no longer on her side. One by one, neighbors stood to share their frustrations, their stories of her overreach, her intimidation, her abuse of power. Finally, a vote was called. Karen was removed as HOA president. She left the room red-faced, muttering about conspiracies, but it didn't matter. Her reign was over. For Marcus, the incident was a reminder of why he had chosen his career in the first place, to stand against injustice, to hold accountable those who thought rules made them untouchable. And for the neighborhood, it was a lesson they would never forget. Authority means nothing without respect. Titles mean nothing without integrity. And power, when abused, always collapses under the truth. Karen thought she had control, but in the end, it was Marcus, the homeowner she tried to humiliate, who showed her that justice always wins.